It was perfect timing. I was so excited because I was like, oh no, we don't have our link. We got to be on in a few minutes. So we got it right in time. Guy just worked everything out.
Well, I just had General Valley and General McInerney on before this, so I'm keeping their notes right here. This is going to be fascinating. And once again, I think you broke a record this time. Last week, it was 2 generals from 2 different countries that sent me information. This week, it's 3 generals from 3 different countries giving me...
Wow.
So I kind of got an idea what your prophetic words are a little bit after the intel they sent me.
That's pretty amazing. I'm telling you, God has been, I had 8 prophetic words in like 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of information. And just when I thought he was done, because this is a thing when I do it in my prayer closet or my studio now, but I come down here very early in the morning, even on the weekends, and I sit with my pen and my paper. I have some music playing. I just sit there and listen to him. And there is times where he just says something and I'm thinking he's done, and I just in there, I just praising, worshiping, doing something else, and all of a sudden here comes another prophecy, and I'm like trying to get it back open again and writing more down. And there's times where I have to take a break because my hand hurts so bad because it's coming so quickly. There are so many things that are going to break out, and I think that's the reason why so many of these prophecies are coming so quickly, is because we are coming into a very intense time. And one of the prophecies I told you about last week, that God gave out that morning for the church, as he was saying something big was coming that was going to rattle the church and rattle the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I can
get people's attention.
Speculate what that could be. Did he say anything around the Vatican?
No, I was going to ask you about the Vatican, but he has been prophesying about the Vatican and what was hidden underneath. He was going to reveal those things that were hidden. So I don't know about it, but I also was going to ask you this question because there was a picture that is going viral that people are extremely angry about, that President Trump was in a gold, like, Pope outfit. Yeah. But that was not mockery, and that was not making fun of the Pope at all. When President Trump does those things, there's something he's hinting at. It's a hint. It's not, calling himself the Pope. It's saying we have what we expected that was there, and we're just letting you know about it.
Exactly. It was a calm. It was definitely a calm, and probably ties into the exposure of the church when this comes out. I know Archbishop Vangano, there's 2 cardinals, and we've mentioned this for the last few years. I was supposed to meet with one in Washington, D.C. about 3 years ago, but he went into hiding. He is the one, let me get this correct. He is the one that has all the financial corruption of the Vatican, this cardinal. And then there's Archbishop Vangano, who knows all about what's gone on in the bowels of the Vatican. Just horrific. And I heard some stories this weekend. We had a event here at the ranch, and somebody that knows about it was telling me how horrific this is. It is beyond anything that anybody could ever imagine. Many have heard that term frazzle drip, but it's even far worse than that. It is so sick. It's so horrific. But those are 2 scandals, part of the 17 scandals that will be coming out. They have all the goods. And you're right. President Trump sent a message that we have captured the Vatican.
Yeah. And I didn't want, we have a lot of people who watch that are Catholic. We have a lot of Catholic friends. So I didn't want them to be, think that he was insulting them, because he truly wasn't. It was just something that he was saying, we have what we need and we've caught him. And that was it. It was not, I did hear of something else. So this is what I was going to ask you too, because somebody had wrote this down. It was sent to me as a picture of somebody in the chat saying this. And on one of the live shows that I had, Trump's meme of him, Pope, signifies that the Vatican tunnels have been cleaned out, gold, secret papers, and blackmail removed. Vatican, the bank, is broke. God is winning.
Amen.
That's what somebody wrote.
It ties both of those in, the financial piece they have, and also the gold is. Yeah. I think we talked about that 3 weeks ago about the gold is not at Fort Knox, but we have the gold. There is gold at Fort Knox, but there's more gold than just what people think. We have much more gold than anybody could ever imagine, what I'm told. And it's in a spot that is even more secure than Fort Knox, believe it or not. And I think some came from the Vatican. Yeah. And then some did come from the Vatican.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that are being very explosive. There's also something that came out that I wanted to talk about too, because I was trying to encourage people with this, because I know it was frustrating them because everybody's waiting for these Epstein files to come out. And we do it again. We were praying for, as a team, we were praying for James O'Keefe this morning, and we've been praying for him because he has this information that's going to be huge information coming out regarding a lot of scandals and a lot of proof that will bring a lot of people down in our government. But James Comer had come out and said that the Epstein files may have been destroyed, and he accuses the federal government of possibly covering it up. Now, do I believe that could be true? Yes. Do I believe that they tried to cover up and they tried to destroy a lot of this evidence? Yes. But one of the things that God has kept saying more than once, he has it all. Yeah. So even though they may have destroyed certain versions of the proof, they didn't destroy all the proof. And so that's why I want to encourage people, because they get frustrated when they see these things like, we're never going to find out the truth about Epstein because they just keep getting in their way and interfering and sabotaging his information coming out. No, it's just going to come out at the right time, and it's going to do more damage than it would have if it would have come out a certain way. So God has got it, and everything's okay. Yes, they're trying to do things, but they're being caught in the act of destroying this evidence. And any evidence that they have destroyed, including election fraud, they have been caught. And their hands in the cookie jar, they've been caught red-handed. In every trap that they were setting for someone else, they were caught themselves. So a lot of things are going to come down. The House of Cards is coming down, and it's going to be very interesting. That's why things are going to start really shaking really bad, because more of this stuff is not going to stay hidden.
No, May is going to be explosive. That's exactly what General Valley and General McInerney were saying. And General McInerney I'm not sure. When do we play the General McInerney and General Valley? Is that this afternoon? I'll have them find out when this plays, but General McInerney said, and usually General McInerney can be a little bit skeptical on, they got to get it out, there's got to be arrests, but he said that they're doing their due diligence. I was told from two other sources that are really good sources this weekend the same thing. They're doing their due diligence, and they all believe arrests are coming. Now, will they be the arrests that we want to the completion? Probably no, but it's coming. And I'm told James O'Keefe, that is supposed to come out today. James O'Keefe is supposed to come out today, and I'm told he's got two stories. One of them is the bombshell, and another one may not be good for a certain person close to President Trump, is what I was told.
Okay. I have a lot of this. So the one I gave out this morning, I got to find the right part of it, because you just hit something on the head, the nail on the head with this, which, again, God always does this with us. But there was talking about, I think it was in this one. Yeah. This was I gave it out this morning. I heard it on May 2nd. It's called Money Problems Are About to Hit Many in Washington. This was part of the ending of this prophecy. Oh, my United States, your government will be smaller and must all be cleansed, the treasonous snakes that have been running this nation into the ground. I will say this again. Well-named politicians will be finished in politics. Some will leave Washington in handcuffs, and some will not survive the judgment that is coming. More of the snakes, hidden snakes on the side of the red, are about to give themselves away. There's a group of Republicans resisting President Trump. They are part of the Uniparty, and they are the deep state rat informants. Most in the public would never guess these names because they have been so good at acting, but their acting days are over. And then he says, the more your enemies are slipping up, the more they resist, and the more they resist, the harder they will fall. Great political falls are coming that will free this nation from the death grip they have had on my nation. So as soon as you said about people in handcuffs, God talked about that this morning that I gave out, and he also talked about people in the side of the red, which are the Republicans that are right next to President Trump, that none of us could guess who they are. And he says they're really good actors, but their acting days are over.
Wow. I have to be very careful how I say this, because I don't want to blow the trust of the person who told me. But that it ties into what the prophetic word is. The person, it will shock people, I think. It didn't shock me, but it'll shock. I think it'll shock quite a few people.
Also, they were
told that James should give President Trump a heads up before he releases this, and I have a feeling that they did have a heads up before this is being released today. Is what President Trump's big announcement either Thursday, Friday, or Monday, which he said yesterday, tied to this? I don't know, but potentially two big bombshells are coming.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that God has been saying, that he has snake and wolves in his midst. He has people who are spying on him that are giving all this information over into the establishment and the deep state, people. So God's been saying this for a long time. Even before President Trump was president, he said there was people next to him that shouldn't be. Especially now that he's been president, he's been warning about there's certain people, and especially not only the ones that are right next to him in this inner circle. He's also talked about his security. So there's things that are going on right now with people, and it is part of the security of the security team, and they're giving information in order for them to try to assassinate him again. That's why we had to please pray, continue to pray for President Trump. We all have to. The enemies are not giving up on trying to get after him, and that's why they have people right next to him that know when he's going to be at certain places, and they also know the weak spot of his security. It's really sad, but there are people, like God said, well-named politicians. We are not, that we would never have guessed. He said because they're good at acting, but their acting days are over, so they're going to start giving themselves more away.
Yeah, I think that's starting to happen. General McInerney alluded to that. Let me see his exact words. He was talking about the 51 so-called national security experts that lied about the Hunter Biden laptop. Mm-hmm. He was also saying that they need to be, I don't know if he quoted General Flynn. He brought up General Flynn. I don't know if he quoted it, but General McInerney made it clear that those 51 need to be arrested and put into handcuffs. Mm-hmm. They knew exactly what they were doing. And get this, he also said they were tied to the assassination attempts of President Trump. Inside.
Those CIA people were?
Yeah. You're going to find the hands of Brennan involved. You're going to find the hands of Barack Obama, which we've been saying for a while. There's two whistleblowers that have said the same thing. Wow.
We have to get to the Barack Obama one. Remember, you said you had a lot of bombshells, but I didn't want you to give them to me yet because I had prophecies that I hadn't given out yet, and I hadn't had dictated out yet. I said, hold on, let's wait for next week because I don't want them to think that, I heard these words after you said that. So I just, we put a pin in it until this week. So we will bring him up at some point today. But there is a lot of things that God is saying that is going to come out. And again, we go back to money. I got to go back to money really quick before we go on. Because this prophecy, and this also goes to Obama, but it says Biden's honey holes will surface. So he's hiding a lot of money, which is offshore bank accounts. That's his honey holes. Obama's millions will be traced back to every source. He's being paid, so we're going to find out who he's being paid by. Nancy Pelosi and many others that have committed insider trading in these fraudulent crimes on a constant basis, and I will empty their accounts and expose every one of them. None of the crimes that any of them have committed will get away with it. I will also show you who all has been feeding this information to these dirty politicians and helping them commit these crimes and covering them up. You know who's helping them cover it up? You know who's giving them this information? The CIA. Mm-hmm. The CIA does a lot of dirty work for the deep state, and that's our first line of defense. We've talked about it before. That's how God, that's how he shows it to us about the CIA. And he said the CIA is the one who really is controlling a lot of the strings in Washington today, undermining President Trump, and they're working with the shadow government, which is Obama's. But a lot of them are doing all this intel and all this stuff that they should be doing for, against our enemies. They're using it against us and against our rightful president. So we're going to find out a lot of these informants are the CIA agents. And what you just said about those 51 people, they were CIA agents. They directly lied about it. They knew about it. That's treason, as far as I know, because you're literally lying to interfere with an election. Yep. You're trying to overthrow a rightful sitting president from his seat and him winning an election. And so they did a lot of things with Hunter. There's a lot of other prophecies I have about Hunter and his Biden crime family. I actually have that next too, in this prophecy as well. Because he went in and talked about campaign funds again. Now, we haven't had a campaign in a long time, But he says, I will show you campaign funds with every elected official who has been dealing dirty under the table, and that campaign funds were funded with laundered money. So campaign funds been funded with laundered money to a lot of these politicians. Kamala's campaign secrets will be leaked out. Millions of dollars that were hidden because of where it came from will be exposed. God also mentions Kamala Harris and some of her campaign's funds way back when, before the election even happened, and warned that she was siphoning money from somewhere. And again, it's all laundered and stolen money. And a lot of it's coming from our taxpayer money too.
Mm-hmm.
Biden's campaign funds and his fraudulent presidency, along with his crime family fortunes, will all be raided and emptied out and destroyed. Every place that the Biden's crime family were making dirty deals will be exposed in unprecedented ways. Not only do we know about Hunter and Burisma, we all know Hunter also had dealings in China, so we're going to find those out. But he goes, his brother, so Joe's brother, has been committing countless crimes that will be judged in front of the world. The Biden's family's exposures are coming, and their supposed jokes are a pardon. The supposed pardons are a joke. Then he goes on about pardons again. Now, God said that these pardons were not going to stand, just like the indictments against President Trump were not going to stand either, because they weren't lawful. Every unlawful pardon for every person will be brought down, and every crime these pardons were trying to protect these people from will be exposed. These pardons were meant for your enemy's protection, but they will be their undoing and their end. We talked a little bit about this before. With these pardons, you have the auto pen. That's a huge thing that's going to expose Biden.
Yep.
And it's going to expose everybody who is actually doing the job of the president, because he could not. And it's going to expose the crime. Them doing the pardons, we're supposed to protect them, when actually it's going to be bombshell after bombshell, and it's giving themselves away of what the crimes they were actually committing and what they were hiding. This is so explosive. These pardons are going to be a bigger deal, and so the indictments against President Trump, because it's going to prove how the justice system has been working against all of us, and all the injustice that's been going on, and all these judges. There's going to be so many judges that are going to be brought down. It's going to be insane.
So
I have more on those too.
Yeah, not only that, but also the dates. You know, people are scratching their head. Mm-hmm. Why would they go back to 2014 with Dr. Fauci? It's because of Ukraine, COVID-19, and what they were doing. It's all coming apart. General McInerney said it probably the best today. He said, stuff that we've been talking about for the last 4 or 5 years, just a piece here, piece here, piece here. You're going to see it start to come into play, and all of it can start fitting together.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that are going to start like you said, the puzzle pieces are coming all together. We've only seen and heard bits and pieces so far. Yep. And we've been excited. You think about this for a minute. If God never gave us the prophetic word, and the prophetic words and the intel that is agreeing with it and confirming it, think how many people back in 5 years ago would have lost hope.
Yeah, exactly.
And our country would have gone, it'd have been dead. The country as we know it would have been 100% gone. But God, the goodness of Almighty God, and we think, even with the stolen election, how frustrating that was, because it was frustrating. I know I was frustrated. But that had to happen. 100% had to happen. And it is so much more beneficial to us than if President Trump, we talked about this before, if President Trump would have actually stayed president at that particular time. We are better off right now than we were 5 years ago. It didn't look like it for a while. It looked like our country was going the wrong direction. It still kind of does with certain things, because we see these judges completely undermining President Trump everywhere we turn. And you're also seeing the Supreme Court sitting on their hands doing nothing. God also has a very powerful word I'll be giving out next week regarding the Supreme Court. It is Supreme Court and Supreme Court judges. They are caught 100%. There's no way around it. There's no way to save them. And not only the Supreme Court judges, but there's so many federal judges that will be disbarred and that will be arrested for treason.
Well, didn't Kim Clement have a prophecy years ago about 2 Supreme Court justices resigning in disgrace or something? I thought that was the case.
I haven't watched all of his. I stopped watching prophets a long time ago. I think I only saw like 1 or 2 of his.
Yeah. I didn't
personally see it myself.
Well, General Flynn may have been just talking. I saw a video yesterday. Somebody sent me him talking to Benny Johnson, saying something about Chief Justice Roberts. Oh, and he said maybe Chief Justice Roberts was at Epstein Island. Maybe he was. There was a John Roberts on there 4 times, and Fox News John Roberts says it wasn't him.
General Flynn. I love that man. I love and respect him so much. And that's something I also want to bring up, too. I love the fact that he also does like President Trump does, where he gives it these little like Easter eggs, you know, and just kind of drops it. Not just tells the whole story, but gets people to think and start doing research. John Roberts is not chief. That's what, even what God's saying. He's like, just because you have chief before your name doesn't mean you're safe. And it's true. He's not safe from judgment. He's not safe from justice being served. He's not safe because the establishment gave him that title, really. He's done a lot of things, and we're going to find out he is part of sex trafficking, and that's really sad. And he's also part of the ones that are trying to sabotage President Trump and trying to stop anything that he possibly can. He's trying to stop. Anyway, so we're just had to pray that all these things are going to be exposed, and we're going to keep praying for Clarence Thomas, because God's going to bless Clarence Thomas in a really great way, and giving him that office of the Chief Justice. So it's what I was told, is that he would be chief. But
I've just told the same thing.
So, and another thing with General Flynn, he just came out, because I was just told this, that he would accept being the advisor, national advisor to President Trump, national security advisor. And I remember there was a prophecy back a while ago for President Flynn back in 2023, and God said he'd be vindicated in he would be restored. And so I think this could be one of the ways that General Flynn is being vindicated and he's being restored. I mean, his name was run through the ringer, destroyed. They tried to make him look like a treasonous traitor when he was not. Obama had him set up, trying to threaten and destroy his family, ruin his son's life. And that's the reason why he went to court to save his son. They did just dirty, dirty things to General Flynn. I believe this is a thing, and this is a time that he will definitely be vindicated, and his name and his position is restored. What he should have already had all along that the enemy took from him. So God is blessing him for standing up and keep fighting.
Yeah, he's going to bless him. The role of General Flynn is going to get more public very soon. He's been doing things behind the scenes that are helping our country, but soon people will see him publicly. God is not done with General Flynn. As a matter of fact, General McInerney and General Valley both brought that up, that back to Clapper and Brennan. They were the masterminds, according to them, which I believe, to set General Flynn up to go after him. And General Flynn did nothing. I mean, nothing wrong. Nothing. No,
he didn't. Not even doing live shows and ever bringing up his name, having him on my show and stuff like that. When I heard people in the chat, saying that he was a traitor and he was not who he says, that really, hurt me, because I'm like, I know him personally. He is a great man of God, and I know, and I have discernment, and I know that he is a person that is on the right side of the aisle. He was just made to look bad, just like President Trump was made to look bad and made to look like he was doing all these things when he wasn't. The enemy, when they're afraid of somebody, watching the Flynn movie, I remember we were down in Dallas at the Mothers for America, and we were down there, and I was watching it, and I was in tears, seeing what he went through for this country. A lot of people have gone through so many different things. There are people that look so bad that are really, actually really good. They just have to wait for that time where they can be vindicated. And General Flynn was one of them that will be vindicated. There's a lot of other people who will be vindicated, including Rudy Giuliani. And there's a lot of them. God's mentioned a lot of vindication. So Mike Lindell is another one. But so many people, their lives have been ruined. And God is saying that it's time to bring restoration back to a lot of people who are willing to risk all that to help save this country.
There's another rift going on social media too, attacking General Valley, General Flynn, me, and somebody asked me about, 2 generals asked me about it, and I don't know what it's all about, but it's always trying to get division. These so-called patriots attacking General Flynn. That's probably the number one question I get when I go on somebody else's show or I see somebody in public or at an event. They're going to say, General Flynn the real deal? And I'm not just going to say General Flynn has come on his glory a gazillion times, and we just had an interview. Anybody could hide behind a Zoom camera, but I've been with him many times for hours at a time. Nobody can act that good for that long. He is the real deal, period.
One of the things when I have discernment, I look in somebody's eyes. Like I said, there are people that we were, close with and saw all the time because, reawakens were once a month.
Yep. Yeah.
And there are people that I could not even be around, period. I couldn't look in their eyes because I saw evil. I couldn't be around them spiritually because I felt the evil presence that was there. I never felt that with General Flynn. I actually prayed for him a couple different times. There were so many times that I prayed for him, but I had texted him and just told him certain things that God had showed me to give to him, to encourage him and to pray over him and things like that. I didn't do it very often. I'm very respectful when I have somebody's, phone number. I don't abuse that number. Yep. And so I just, whenever God said, text him this, I would text him. He said, that was exactly what I needed to hear today. That's God, though. That's not me. That's God. God knows when people need to hear something. So that's why when I see people say that, it really just grieves my heart because I know what kind of a man he is and what all he has sacrificed to keep this country going in the right direction.
Plus, I know several people that are really close to General Flynn. I'm not going to name their names, but I know them extremely well. And with all the people that I know in my interaction with General Flynn face to face, I rode in a car with him for like 3 hours. He was going to go to Israel with me as my guest if it weren't for October 7th event. I've been in private meetings with him and the Trumps, just the three of us. Sometimes I was like, you do realize this, I'm sitting here with you guys, but it's never changed. Now, will he play 5G chess with people? There's certain things he can't say, obviously, right. But and you can read his body language. He doesn't come out and tell you something. He just doesn't answer the question or has a smile, and that's what you would expect. And I get a lot of intel from a lot of generals, but I think I can say almost 100% certain General Flynn has never given me any intel ever.
One thing about him, there was one time we were at a reawaken. I remember talking to him backstage. I could feel the weight of the world on it. I could see it in his face. Something bad was going on. I don't know what it was. I never asked him because I wasn't going to expect an answer. Like you said, he can't tell everything.
Yep.
And I remember I was telling the team, we have to pray for him. Even if we don't pray for him in person, we have to literally intercede on his behalf because you could see it. You could feel it. Something was going on. It was right before the election. And he probably, obviously, was fighting for the country, too, because he saw it. Everyone thought it was going to be stolen once again, and our country would have been doomed. If Kamala would have gotten in, there would have been a United States of America anymore, as we know it, because the elitists would have gotten what they wanted. So that didn't happen because God intervened, and God is still intervening.
They tried.
He's still intervening. But you know what? I've also seen a growth in him, too, and so many other people. They are so looking to God and to looking to what he is saying and he is doing. And that's giving them peace. And that's giving that hope to keep fighting, And so I've seen how so many people went from not really like taking, not religion, but God seriously to it's all important. Mm-hmm. Like when it comes to behind the scenes and what God's plan is. Because even when somebody loves God, they didn't understand that God had a plan. And that, they see him as they are told, but they don't see him actually as him truly being that deliverer and that one who's the great I am, who's doing the same thing to us right now that he did the children of Israel when they were in the land of Goshen. So there's so many things that are going to play out that are unprecedented, never happening before, and people will not be able to even guess the things that are going to take place next. They won't be able to imagine it. Can't.
No. I've been asked so many times this week alone, what are these two bombshells coming? With James O'Keefe, I have an idea of one of them. But that one, I don't think is a bombshell. It's just going to hurt somebody close to President Trump or expose them. The other one, I'm not, I could surmise. And then the one that President Trump is saying, I don't know. But all I know is big stuff is going to start hitting, and it had to be this way, slow. And you're going to see it getting a little bit bigger, so that people can digest it, because they wouldn't be able to digest it any other way.
Yeah. And like I said, with Epstein and JFK, all of it, every single piece of information, all the things that the CIA and the FBI has done to cover up the tracks of so many different people in the government is going to be exposed. Not one person is going to get away with anything they did. The CIA, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot. They are the ones, I think they're more in trouble than the FBI. The FBI is in trouble too. But the CIA is the one that leads the charge in a lot of these things. So the CIA there's good people there. And I want to tell you, and I have another prophecy around the Pentagon. It's hard to give these ones out about the military, because I love and respect the military so much. But there's so much evil in the Pentagon right now. And there just is. It's true. We can see it. We saw it with that man that said, we're going to resist. We're not going to obey commands. We're not going to do anything that they tell us to do. He's not a legitimate president. They don't care. There are people there. Now, there are amazing people there. But there are also people there that are not. Those are the ones that God is directing. He is directing what they are doing, the ones that are part of the swamp and the deep state that have been undermining everything they possibly can and controlling everything they possibly can. They don't want to take orders from, let's just say, President Trump. They weren't even really taking orders from Biden either. They were taking orders more from the globalists, the deep state, the swamp, Obama. They weren't taking orders from specific people. So how our government is supposed to run, how our military is supposed to run, how everything is supposed to run has been manipulated, has been twisted, and has not been functioning the way it's supposed to function.
Going back to Epstein Island for a quick second. I don't know what the average American thinks Epstein's all about. Maybe most of them don't even know anything happened, but those that know a little bit probably surmise that there was, an island where they went and did sexual things and minors. That's not even close to what happened on that island. That it is so horrific that you couldn't keep your lunch in you. I was told again this weekend, very in depth, what they do, and I know a certain person who heard the conversation. She couldn't sleep that night. That's how horrible it is. The average American could not handle what they've done to children. The thing is, it's all about the children. There are so many hidden secrets about. And again, this is also going to come out too. This is not a conspiracy theorist or conspiracy at all. Adrenochrome is a huge and a horrible thing that a lot of the establishment is a part of. And adrenochrome, if people don't know about it, it's how they get a child in an adrenaline type of state. They take their blood and they either drink it or inject it in themselves. And that's what makes them younger. That's what makes them more youthful. That's what makes them live longer, whatever. It's kind of like their fountain of youth. It is the most disgusting and vile thing that they can possibly do to a human being, besides the other sexual things that they do to them. But this is something that we have to understand. This is also, when it comes to blood and it comes to child trafficking, but child sacrifice. There are so many things that they do to children. And that's why a lot of these missing children are not missing. They're underground. They're in these, child trafficking systems. We have to do everything we can to protect these children, get these children out of where they are right now. So we've been talking about that for years, about underground bases and dumbs that go throughout the country, and that's a conspiracy theory. Catherine Fitz, just this week, I think it was this week or end of last week, she used to work for President Bush. She's a financial analyst on Tucker Carlson, said the U.S. government spent $21 trillion for underground facilities. So.
Yes. There's been prophecies. God's been talking about a lot of things they were doing underground. I got to find this one because this is like 30 pages long that I got to go through and sit through it. Right here. So, again, they spent $21 trillion of our money. So think about where all that's going. Not all these underground cities underground. They're underwater.
Yeah.
God is saying, watch the water. God is saying that they were camouflaging things under the water to protect what they were doing under the water. And I will give those prophecies out when we come back from commercial break probably, but it's not just land, it's also in the water. So there's prophecies that go with both of this that's really, really, really getting into what's going on with what's happening underground.
When did you have that prophetic word?
2022 and 2023, I think. I'll look for them. Yeah.
Yeah, they use submarines to get to these
I have
islands.
prophecies on submarines too.
Oh my gosh, it is. It is literally underwater, is literally everywhere. And again, Catherine Fitz just came out on Tucker Carlson last week, I think it was. Said the generals know more about your prophetic words than I do.
That is truly amazing. God bless them all. I appreciate every single one of them. I do. So we were talking about the waters.
Yeah.
So I want to give this one out to you. There's several of them. I did not have time to pull them all up because the break is only so long. It's called A Time to Resist from October 18th of 2023, and it says, "Watch the waters." And he says it again, "Watch the waters. Many things are happening under the water. Many things are happening above the water. The waters are key." And then. And I thought that was interesting that he said the waters are key. So there's something very specific about waters and what they're doing underwater that God will reveal to us. Then in another one, was May 20th of 2022. It's called, it's all about to change. And it's called The Atlantic Ocean Will Continue to Be in Your News. Cargo ships, wars they wanted, weather, submarines, earthquakes, and tsunamis. Many things will be shaking the water and cleansing them of what they were doing against you underwater. So again, the enemies are doing a lot of things and camouflaging themselves underneath the water so we can't see it. And then here's another one about submarines. This is from April 22nd, 2024. Submarines will be in your news for a significant reason. What's been taking place under the water that they have been hiding from you will soon be revealed. Then later on in this paragraph, or later on in this prophecy, it says underground tunnels will be in your news for a significant reason. So they're going around and they're hiding things that they can under where it's hidden. God has been talking about everything that hidden will be made known. And so they hide things underground, especially tunnels, and they're hiding things like these underground cities under the ground and in the water. They're doing this because they don't want us to know what's going on. You got to think they spent $21 trillion of our taxpayer money. They saved themselves from an apocalyptic event. Not us, the ones who paid for it, just the ones that they wanted to be there.
Yeah, and they don't need that big of a tunnel to save that few of people. I think I didn't see the whole video of her on Tucker Carlson, but I believe, if I heard correctly, she even said that there was a tunnel underneath the water. Was that correct?
I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what she said. And we do know that submarines have gone to Epstein Island and the island over. Dr. Carrie Madej always talks about not necessarily hiding things in the water, but they destroying us through the water, through poisons in the water.
Yep. That's another thing I have a huge prophecy on poison. I have huge prophecy on the medicines again, on vaccines again. And something else that is a huge poison that people are not even really looking at. Some people might know about it. I have not given this prophecy out yet. I think it comes out either tomorrow or Friday. Is aspartame.
Really?
It's found, yes. God was really hard on aspartame and what it was used for, specifically used for.
Aspartame is one of the main ingredients in a Diet Coke, I think.
Any diet. Yeah. Any diet, any types of artificial, it says artificial sweetener. But he was saying what it's doing to kill people, to poison them slowly, to cause diseases, and obviously eventually death.
Unbelievable.
And they know what it is. It's a carcinogen. It causes also cancer. It causes heart attacks, stroke. It causes different types of neurological difficulties, nerve problems. God was showing this thing is a deadly poison. And people are drinking it, not knowing, thinking that there's something in their genetics that's the reason why they are that sick, the reason why they're having all these medical issues, when it's things that are actually they're eating and drinking.
Well, that's just in the United States, I think. Because when you go to like Mexico or Israel, the Diet Coke has natural whatever the replacement is, I think. That's why it tastes better there. And it doesn't taste good here in the United States. It's got all this junk in it. So they've targeted that. But speaking of that, I just caught a headline before I went on with the generals this morning that President Trump says in 2 weeks he's going to put tariffs on the pharmaceutical companies. So that part where you're talking about, it's coming in. There was a segment on, let me see where my notes are, of a new FDA doctor who was slamming the FDA for all the things that they didn't catch, and it got the market shaken. It was on fake news, and the fake news analysts almost tried to cut him off. So it looks like President Trump is coming after pharma in the next 2 weeks.
Wow. And I had another prophecy on pharma, and I had another prophecy on the FDA, and I had another prophecy on the WHO and the World Economic Forum. And God said he was bringing down, of course, he says many different times, but he's saying it again. So I have a feeling it's not that far off with the WHO and the World Economic Forum. But he said there has to be a restructuring of the FDA. There has to be a restructuring of Big Pharma. Those two are not going to go away like the WHO and the WEF, but there will be a restructuring of how they're run and who's running it, who's controlling it.
Okay, so here it is. I had so many notes. I kept my notes from the generals. I said new FDA head Vinay Prasad. Pharmaceutical companies are alarmed by Trump's policy, and then in the next 2 weeks there's going to be tariffs on pharmaceutical companies. Interesting.
So I was telling people on my live show, a lot of the things that people are freaking out about because of things that they're putting in medicines and vaccines and stuff. And again, a lot of people are aware because of what they did to the vaccines when it came to COVID, but they didn't realize all the other vaccines, the flu vaccines, all the vaccines they give your kids at, the first, day of life, that first every 2 months, for the first 2 years of their life, they had to take a shot and had to have all the mRNA and all this kind of stuff, or whatever those shots are, the hepatitis ones. Anyway, there are so many things that are going to prove that there was poisons in all of those things that are leading back to child issues with learning disabilities, chronic health issues, is going back to how they were basically being forced to shove all this poison in their bodies. When I heard this from the Lord, I was hearing prophecies about these kind of things, my heart sunk because I did what you were told to do by a doctor by taking your kid in for their medical checkup and then getting them vaccines. I, first of all, asked God to repent. I asked him to forgive me. I did not know any better. I was following what I thought medicine was about. And I did what the doctor told me to do. So I asked for God to neutralize all the damage that was done, that the enemy was doing to our children, to their minds, to their bodies, to their futures, because of the poisons that they were purposely putting in our bodies. Now, they go far and beyond that. They're doing our water, they're putting things in our soil, they're putting things in our air. And this is the thing. I don't want people to stop taking their medicine. Because if you have medicine, like I have certain medication, I just bless it. I just keep thanking God that I don't have to be on it for the rest of my life. And I will not stop it until I know that I have 100% from the Lord to get off of it. But we can pray for protection over that medication, that if there's any type of poison, that any type of thing that is in it that is negative, that God neutralizes that, and it only does what it is supposed to do to help you, not to have anything against you. That's how we can go and combat that. The enemy, the medical industry is a good thing. Doctors and nurses are a very good thing. They're a blessing to us. They have saved a lot of people's lives. The problem is the enemy has twisted it, and he's used them. There's a prophecy, I think it comes out tomorrow. God said the word genocide. That's what they were using through Big Pharma in the medical industry. They were causing genocide. They're still trying to cause genocide in that depopulation we've been talking about, that God's been talking about for many years. They completely want to cause all these problems in people's lives and their bodies. They know which to target. I will also give out a prophecy tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it is. It talks about them specifically going after the digestive system, going after mental health, going after all these different things to weaken the population in every way they can, physically, mentally, and financially, in every way, because they're easier to control. That's what God's saying he's getting rid of. He's not saying he's going to entirely get rid of the FDA or, like he says, the IRS. He is going to entirely abolish it. It will look entirely different. The IRS is going down. There's no saving the IRS. There's not. And that's why I think President Trump keeps talking about the External Revenue Service, because there's not going to be an internal one anymore, because they're not going to be used for an internal one anymore, because we're going to go back to what our country should have been all along, and it should not have been oppressing the American citizens and making them pay for every single thing that our government has been doing by giving our money to the enemy. So a lot of things are going to change, but I just want people to know Big Pharma and FDA is in major trouble, and they were going to find out. They weren't ignorant of these poisons. They were turning their head and allowing these things, and they were getting paid to do it.
Dr. Naomi Wolf confirmed that last week when she was on with us. They knew. You know who else is going to be in deep trouble is these fake news networks. 85% of their revenue comes from pharma. They won't be able to have...
What?
85% of the fake news gets their revenue from the pharmaceutical companies. That's their advertising. 85%. So if you cut that, which RFK Jr. wants to cut all pharmaceutical ads, kind of like what they did with tobacco. What are they going to do for revenue? They're going to start laying people off. CrowdStrike today, even though they're not pharmaceuticals, cutting 5%, because when you start cutting off Doge and all the money flow to the beast, they have to start laying people off, and it's going to be very fascinating. And get this, I had a second intel source telling me that the purpose of the pharmaceutical company paying 85% of the money, as we say right there, they had a prescription drug right now on CNN, is not to promote that particular drug. It is to say, hey, here's the money. We want your reporters to keep quiet about what we do. It was hush money, not to sell products.
That goes along with prophecy. This is the first time I think I heard about this one. But what God is saying is a lot of these things were fronts. All the things that they do were fronts for hiding something else. He also said he's going to prove who gives this information to the news media, how this news media was hiding a lot of this information, how they were being paid off, which goes along with big pharmaceutical companies. I was thinking more it was maybe the elites or something. I didn't really know it was the pharmaceutical companies that were their main source, but God said he's bringing all of the mainstream media. He was completely going to collapse them. And another thing he said, they were going to go broke and bankrupt. So that makes total sense. If he said that, and most of their ads are coming from pharmaceutical companies, and then they're losing all their viewership. I mean, they are collapsing everywhere. I think Rachel Maddow now is in trouble. I think they're changing her. Joy Reid was taken off. All these people that God was prophesying about, and all the shakeups that have happening, all these different companies. But NBC is going to be a massive one that is going to have to pay for a lot of things that they were paid off to hide. NBC is a major front runner of the mainstream media. They're kind of like the CIA with the intel community. Yep. NBC is a front runner to all the mainstream media and what they are doing to hide this information and to cover it up. So NBC is in massive trouble right now.
Well, you go back to places like the Washington Post, Bob Woodward, the guy that brought the stuff down on Nixon. He was in a naval intelligence. Why naval intelligence and no investigative reporting background, and you come in and you get the biggest story supposedly of a lifetime? Isn't that fascinating? It's all a setup.
Fascinating.
It's a setup. Mm-hmm. You know how what sense of humor God has? Creed, come around here and take a picture of this. We have four live streams going of the news. Just when I was talking about the pharmaceutical, one froze, and that's the pharmaceutical company, so that you could show that's what we're talking about. Everything else is still running. God froze it, still frozen, and that's a pharmaceutical ad. I think that's on CNN. So once Creed gets that, let's just pop that up so you can show the pictures of the four, how he froze it.
It was funny because God did talk about CNN first, and they're the ones that they were hurting first before anybody else was. in mainstream media. God's been talking about CNN since 2021.
Wow. Well, that's the network too that brought on the Andy McCabe's, the Jim Comey's, the Clappers, the John Brennan's, the Russia hoax, and kept that going. Payback is coming. And remember, when all that money comes back, I believe the executive order is still in place that all that money has to go back into the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury. So all that money that they used against us will go back to the U.S. Treasury.
Yeah, it is. God said he's restoring it all. Everything they stolen, they have to give it back.
It was CNN.
I cannot wait to see them hurting financially, that's for sure. And they will, because I don't have those prophecies up right now, but there has been countless prophecies on news media and how he was dismantling them and taking their source of financials away. And they were not going to be the main source. God was saying that the media is going to completely change. It's going to be more people that were silent. And that was another thing. Let's see here. It was this one right here. Did you hear about this one? The classified memo reveals Biden regime ordered feds to investigate non-criminal conservatives deemed to be spreading disinformation. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
I can't. I think my volume just went out. I can't hear them anymore. So I'm having sound issues right all of a sudden for some reason. I don't really know what's going on. But anyway, Biden was making sure he was keeping conservatives quiet. He was not allowing them to spread disinformation, or for us, he was not allowing them to tell the truth. And we know we were all targeted for that. You were targeted for that. I know I was targeted for that because I was targeted by Media Matters because we were spreading supposedly disinformation on election fraud.
Unbelievable. I thought they'd get away with it. Emerald Robinson yesterday put a very
He's trying to fix my audio.
Okay. Emerald Robinson put a brilliant piece together yesterday on Twitter outlining the whole process of the 2020 fraud, January 6th, and how they targeted President Trump and went after people who stood up for the truth of 2020 and January 6th. Crazy. While they're grabbing it, why don't we take a quick break and be right back? Try to take out her sound waves, but she's back.
I'm back in a different way, but I got the big headset on. I think he's got the other one working again, so maybe I'll kind of switch in the middle of it. But because these things are so big on my head, so we'll try to get the smaller ones working. But it doesn't matter what the enemy does. We'll keep working on it. So
the truth always comes out. Enemy loses. Yep.
That's right. Even if I have to look like this for a few minutes, it's okay. At least we can hear, so that's good. Okay, so we were talking about the Biden regime and what they were doing to stop people like you and I from telling the truth, because they're trying to keep their mainstream media on the forefront while trying to silence everybody else because they don't want to hear the truth.
Right.
They don't want people to hear the truth, because if people are hearing the truth, then they're not going to believe them anymore. And look what's happening. Once the truth has been coming out and people started going to more independent journalists, then they're finding out, guess what? They were right. And people are digging in and doing more information for themselves. And then people are turning away from the mainstream media, and it's hurting the mainstream media.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They're going to never recover from this. It's over.
No.
I have a friend who is actually worked at Area 51. You had a prophetic word. He was, I think, number 3 at Area 51. And he wanted to buy, he had some investors that wanted to buy CNN about 5-6 years ago. And he wanted to get rid of them and call it Christian News Network. And he knew I had some connections at AT&T. So I called over there to see if they would be interested in selling. My contact there says, nope, they'll never sell because they're using it for propaganda. And my contact, who I knew from the days of AT&T, said, if your friend really wants to buy this, just give it another a year and a half, and it's going to come crashing down because it's a house of cards. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
God said there's people like Area 51. There's more things that are hidden there than what they're showing you, and it's not alien. It's not what people think it is. It's not green goblins and green aliens from a different, This is more of a demonic thing. This is more of a spiritual thing. But God said there's areas like Area 51 all over the place where government is hiding secrets all around the world, and especially in our country. So we have things more like Area 51. Just people are more aware of that area than they are of other governmental secrets and what they're hiding from us. So there's a lot of secrets. These things that they never thought, these places that they never thought were going to be known, are going to be made known. Government secrets are going to come out in bombshells, and people are not going to be able to recover from this information that's going to come out. The enemies have been dealing dirty under the table for a long time. They've been hiding in this seclusion and lurking in shadows, and God is saying, enough is enough. Now, everything you've been hiding in all these different places all around this country and around the world, I am going to let everybody see it for themselves.
Well, that's why they're trying to get ahead of the UFO narrative. It's coming out, and you're right. It's coming right from what, if you study the book of Enoch, you'll know exactly what it is. It's in real life happening in Area 51. Wright-Patterson is another one. Antarctic. Those are certain places that they do that. There is as of 2 years ago, there was a huge Nephilim in Wright-Patterson. That's the one they got from Afghanistan. So they got some crazy stuff. It's manipulating the DNA molecule, and what they are is they're the fallen angels. They're the Nephilim. They're demons, and this is how they're reversing the technology for aircraft. A lot of our aircraft have come from this reverse technology.
You just said something about Nephilim were hiding in Afghanistan.
Yeah, big one was captured in Afghanistan. And was brought back, and I'm told it went to Wright-Patterson. I don't know if he's still at Wright-Patterson, but kind of like the House of David, that big. It was huge. And I
just had a prophecy on Afghanistan and what they were hiding in that country. I am almost positive I gave that one out already. Yeah, here's one. The Afghanistan payoff and the deals that have been made under the table with them will be exposed in explosive ways. Billions and billions of dollars in military weapons have been given to your enemies with your government approval. They wanted the depths of this nation as you know it. And then he talked about major threats still looming in this nation. The establishment is still feeding your enemies information and money and weapons. That's not the right one. There was one, it might be one that I just dictated out this morning for tomorrow or Friday, but it talked about how they were hiding things in Afghanistan. And that was where all the billions of dollars have been paying off to them to hide the secrets that are in that ground or in their soil, just like how they're doing with Ukraine. All those billions of dollars are going to Ukraine to hide bioweapons, child sex trafficking, and other governmental secrets that are there. There are places that the government has and using in Ukraine that they're paying Zelensky to hide and to keep his mouth shut. So that's where a lot of the billions of dollars are going. But there's things in Afghanistan. There was things in China. There was things, I think he said, in Germany and somewhere else. I can't remember. There's things all over the world, he said, that they were hiding governmental secrets in these secrets and paying off these governments to hide these things in these countries. And that's what these U.S. funds were going for. It wasn't going for U.S. aid to protect them, to protect these countries and help them with wars. It was going to protect themselves and to hide with and cover up what they're hiding.
Right. Was Iraq one of them? Because they did that in Iraq
and Iran.
Yep.
Iraq and Iran. They're hiding things in a lot of these different countries, and there are things that are going on apparently in Iran. Iran is in big trouble. Iran's going to get hit hard with judgment. I know that there's fires in Iran right now, but God is saying they were going to get hit hard because of the judgment that was coming to them, because they wanted death to America and they wanted death to Israel, and they were being judged for it. So whether or not this is part of it or it's going to get even worse, I think it will get worse for Iran. But God's been talking about destructive things happening in that country along with China.
Yeah, the last 2 days, a friend of mine is colonel, and then a general today from Israel both said that they're going into Gaza and they're going to just demolish it and occupy it. And this is heating up with Iran as well. Both General McInerney and General Valley said their sources say that Iran already has the weapon. General McInerney says they just haven't had it that they could hit the United States and Israel at the same time. I was in Israel about a year ago with at dinner at the King David with about 8 Israeli generals, and one of them told me sidebar, he says, we have 1 year left. And this was 18 months ago. He said, we have 1 year left before they'll have a weaponized nuclear bomb. And that's when we have to make a decision. We have to stop them. Because, again, it's not like what you see today with India and Pakistan firing off weapons, both nuclear. They're not going to do it to each other because they'd blow up each other. But
right.
With the fundamental of the Ayatollah, he believes if they send a nuclear weapon towards a big Satan America, little Satan Israel, their 12th Mahdi will come back. So it's not if they'll use it. They will use it if they get it.
Yeah, but this is what I want to encourage people with, too. There are many times that Israel's enemies have always said they're going to wipe Israel off the face of this earth. They've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, ever.
They've never gotten it. They want to wipe this country off the face of this earth. They're not going to get it. They've also tried to destroy this country from within. We have a lot of enemies embedded into our country that are working with foreign governments against us. Not going to happen. But what we're going to see, if they try anything, just like the enemies of Israel have tried against Israel, where they were firing rockets into Gaza or from Gaza or whatever, and they were firing. What did God do? He moved their rockets in a different direction. Yeah. And it didn't hurt anything or anyone. I mean, there wasn't like any casualties. God can change the course of any nuclear weapon and any bomb. Not the fact, I think it could be another dud too. Like, say, for instance, they try to fire it off and it just doesn't do anything. Like the Iron Man movie, I think it was like the second Iron Man movie, and he was trying to shoot off, the enemy was trying to shoot off something. It was supposed to be this big, huge, rocket thing, and it ended up being nothing. But again, it was a dud. So I think it was Iron Patriot. He was trying to shoot off something from Hammer Technology, and it was like stupid, and it didn't function right. That to me, that's where I laugh. And the reason why I'm laughing is because God is our protector. Mm-hmm. God said he'll never leave us nor forsake us. He said he's going to protect this nation no matter what. So even if they do shoot off something, even if they do threaten war, God said they are not going to get World War III. Now, will they try different terrorist attacks against this country? Yeah, they already have people that are embedded in this country training here that are really waiting for their signal. Not going to happen. God is saying even if they do something, it's not going to be as big as they desired. God is intervening on our behalf. He said he was going to intervene on our behalf. He's been saying it. He's been doing it. Look at the proof just alone of President Trump. They shot that gun. They aimed right at him. And it didn't work. So no matter what they aim at this country, it is not going to work. It will fail. That's why I don't want people to be afraid of it.
You can actually Google. I think it's still out there. You could Google during the Iraq War. I think it was the Baghdad News that there was an article and a picture of it. They were saying the God of the Israelites was changing the trajectory of the Scud missiles, and they were missing.
Exactly. I seen that, and they were upset about it. It was literally an article, and I was like laughing so hard. Because I'm like, that's so God. It's like the 6-day war in Israel. How it looked like they were going to lose. God intervened. The enemy saw angels and took off running. There's nothing that God can't do. He's not going. He can't lie, obviously. When he says he's going to protect us, he's going to. There's nothing impossible for him. So even if we're surrounded by China and Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran and all of them come together, and Ukraine and Canada and whatever. Like, say, for instance, the enemy just tried in from every different direction. We've seen, as a team, when we were praying over this country, we've seen those big, huge angels, and they're called sentinels, big, huge angels standing guard around this country.
Yeah.
The enemies are not going to get what they want.
Yeah, it's amazing. God's got his angels, and he calls everyone for such a time as this. I think we told the story of President Nixon when he was a boy. His mom prophesied over him that he would save the nation of Israel. And sure enough, during the Yom Kippur, it looked like Israel was done, and Henry Kissinger said, "Let Israel burn," and it looked like it was over. Nixon stood in and sent the equipment needed, and they were able to hold them off. And that was also right too. There's a book. I think John Hagee helped do a book and a movie about the miracles that there was two guys, two IDF soldiers took off a whole brigade. And they said, well, why did you give up to us? There's only two of us. They thought they were gone. He says, because all the rest of them around you, there were thousands. There were angels.
Just like it reminds me of in Kings, 2 Kings in chapter 7 or 6, when Gehazi and when Elijah and Gehazi were surrounded by a military force, and they had nowhere to go. And that's when Elijah said and prayed to God that he would open up Gehazi's eyes. I mean, he literally was seeing physically with his eyes, seeing that they were outnumbered. And Elijah, the prophet, said, open his eyes so he may see. It was spiritually he may see. It was the chariots of fire that were lining the whole entire hill behind the enemy. And there was more of those angels than there were of the people that were against them. And then the eyes of those armies men were blinded. And then Elijah led them right into Israel. So they were led right into the place, and they were trapped. There was no way the enemy could get out. So just when they were trying to trap God's people, they were actually trapped themselves and surrendered. So God can do such amazing and marvelous things that we could never even dream up in our entire lifetime. So this is the reason why God was even saying in this part and a lot of the things in the last few days, don't give up.
Yep.
God is the one who fights these battles. God is the one who knows everything. And God is the one who's giving us wisdom. God is the one who's giving us also strength. He's giving us hope. He's giving us everything we need. We have to stand and realize that we are fighting against, or if we're fighting against the enemy is fighting against God. And our God is bigger. Our God is stronger. And there's nothing that they can do to stop God. And they can't outsmart him. They try to, but they fail every time. They're failing and falling on their face. They're going in more of a disarray. It is amazing what God is doing right now. And I love seeing how he's exposing them, and they're panicking. And this is what we're seeing. The enemies are in a panic. They're going to lose, and there's no way around it.
Yeah, God's had his protection. It's happened to me probably 2 times in the last 3 months. The first time I was in the middle of the night, I saw a fire. It looked like there was a fire that came right off my deck, like a explosion, but I didn't hear an explosion. It came right through the curtains, and I got up to make sure everybody was okay. Our German Shepherds weren't barking. I thought, well, that's strange. Why weren't they barking? I went back to bed. It happened about a week ago, again, in my bedroom, just big light. So I finally said, Lord, what is it? That's 2 times. He says, I have my angels protecting you. So whatever was coming against us, God had his angels stopping it right there.
That's the one thing we have to realize any single time, God knows when the enemies are attacking. I don't know how many times that God has woke me up in the middle of the night, or God has even in the middle of working or just doing things around the house, going for walks, whatever. God said, stop, pray. I've been in the car. Stop, pray. The reason is because he knows something going on. That's why we have to be, as Christians, more discerning and asking God that our spiritual ears are open to hear, that we are not so distracted with our life as in general that we will not pay attention to what God is saying and doing. Just like that time with President Trump. He stopped me in my tracks. I could not do anything else. He got my attention. God will get our attention. God will show us. And even if we have to pray and we don't know what we're praying about, God will he'll stop, he'll block, and he will sabotage the enemy's plans. And that's the reason why right now when we're fighting all these battles, it just seems like we get so far, it looks like we're taking 100 steps back. And I know it's frustrating a lot of people. God is saying, you don't understand how much the enemies are frustrated right now. There was a scripture I was reading in Psalm 144 this morning, 6 through 8, I think, how God not only scatters the enemy, he embarrasses and frustrates them. The more he exposes them, the more frustrated they are. And so he is doing it. They aren't getting away with everything they're doing. And we didn't get a chance to talk about Obama or any of those things. We're running out of time already again today. But God is on the move. God is doing things so much quicker, even though we don't think it's fast, but it's better. We don't want so fast that we miss these things. We want it so fast that the enemy is completely destroyed and God is doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, just in the nutshell, with Obama, more and more stuff is going to be coming out of Obama. General McInerney, I was talking about that today, which you'll see this afternoon. The chef story is going to come back to bite him. That didn't happen that way. His hands are involved. Literally.
Yes. That's why God calls him a murderer.
Yep.
God did not just call Obama a liar and a thief and a fake president. He called him a liar. He called him a murderer and a treasonous traitor. And so we are going to find out all the things that are going on and what Obama is assigned to do and what his shadow government has been up to for the last several years and all the things that they have been doing to sabotage President Trump, but also sabotaging our country, the financial system, everything. He has his hands in so many different things. And we are going to find out. Not only are we going to find out, we're going to be really happy to see what God does about it.
Treason.
God is going to have the final say. Treason.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Treason. That's why we have to just know that God has it. And he who's in us is stronger than he who is in the world. And no weapon ever formed can come against. He's got us here for a reason. And he's not going to let us go until our purpose is done. And it's time for us to get that billion soul harvest. So.
Kiếm khí này người thế giới cảnh tầng thứ nhất công kích cũng không thể phá được. Làm xong những chuyện này, Lục Nguyên cũng không ở lâu tại Hoa Sơn nữa mà lập tức rời đi. Lục Nguyên một đường bay thẳng, một thời gian sau mới trở về Kiếm Môn. Thế giới quá to lớn, với tốc độ của Lục Nguyên cũng phải mất mấy ngày. Trở về Kiếm Môn, mọi thứ vẫn yên bình. Lục Nguyên hiện tại đang ở Kiếm Môn tinh thần. Chỗ đó có một tòa sơn mạch có tên là Tử Tuyền Sơn. Chính là tòa sơn mạch do Lục Nguyên làm ra. Ở nơi này có khá nhiều ao hồ trời sinh ra suối rượu. Lục Nguyên cũng không vội vã tu hành, cứ lười biếng rồi tính sau. Con người cũng không cần phải sống quá mệt mỏi, có thể buông lỏng thì nên buông lỏng. Lục Nguyên trở về trạng thái buông lỏng rảnh rỗi thì đi chỉ điểm một số đệ tử kiếm môn về kiếm thuật. Vốn hắn cảm thấy áp lực của kiếm chi tử là vô cùng lớn, hiện tại đạt tới thế giới cảnh Lục Nguyên, cảm thấy áp lực đã giảm bớt, cứ buông lỏng một phen. Đương nhiên Lục Nguyên cũng biết mình cũng không thể triệt để buông lỏng, cần phải bắt đầu cố gắng, dù sao hắn cũng kém kiếm chi tử tới mấy cảnh giới. Chương 1037, trở lại kiếm môn. Kiếm chi tử không phải là một kẻ yếu, nhưng bất kể thế nào muốn tiến lên phía trước chỉ có một cách, đó là thắng kiếm chi tử. Trong nhân sinh nhẹ nhàng, Lục Nguyên cũng phát hiện mấy xung đột. Mấy xung đột này là của đệ tử Hiên Viên Vọng và đệ tử của Thái Sử Chí Tôn. Đệ tử của phái Hiên Viên Vọng còn rất nhiều, lúc Hiên Viên Vọng trốn đi Thái Sử cũng không thanh trừ bọn họ. Bọn họ từ khi đó cũng cụp đuôi lại, nhưng không hiểu tại sao gần đây lại khoa trương lên. Đúng rồi, chuyện hắn giết Hiên Viên Vọng vẫn chưa nói với Thái Sử không. Hiện tại kiếm môn chi chủ Thái Sử không vẫn ở Không Chi Sơn. Lục Nguyên quen thuộc đi vào, tiến vào trong đó, Lục Nguyên mới phát hiện hóa ra kiếm chủ trước kia Gia Cát Chí Thương cũng ở nơi này, mà Hạ Hầu Chí Tôn và Bách Lý Chí Tôn thì vẫn ở tại Phong Hỏa Sơn. Lục Nguyên đến, Thái Sử không cười ha hà, ném một bình rượu tới, đây chính là rượu ta mới luyện, dùng lửa luyện rượu hương vị tuyệt phẩm. Lục Nguyên nghe xong cũng không khách khí, liền mở ra uống vào. Ngay lập tức hắn có cảm giác như có lửa cháy ở trong cổ của mình, nhưng vẫn thống khoái không nói nên lời. Thái Sử không nói, người ở thế giới Hỏa Sơn phát ra khí thế khiến hiện tại ở Trung ương Thiên Triều không ai không biết kiếm môn chúng ta có Lục Nguyên tung hoành vô địch. Lục Nguyên uống vài ngụm rượu đã đời, sau đó mới lên tiếng. Đúng rồi, có một chuyện quên nói, ở nước ngoài con đã giết một người. Là ai? Đông Giá Chí Tôn nói. Không phải vị Chí Tôn lợi hại nào không may rơi vào tay ngươi chứ? Đúng là Chí Tôn, Lục Nguyên lơ đánh nói. Là Hiên Viên Vọng. Ba chữ Hiên Viên Vọng vừa ra khỏi miệng Lục Nguyên thì nhất thời Thái Sử không, Gia Cát Chí Thương, Đông Giá Chí Tôn cùng với Kiếm Hùng đều kinh hãi. Cái gì là Hiên Viên Vọng? Thái Sử không kinh ngạc. Hiên Viên Vọng, Gia Cát Chí Thương trầm mặc. Thật sự là Hiên Viên Vọng? Đông Giá Chí Tôn ngơ ngẩn. Hiên Viên Vọng, Kiếm Hùng cũng kinh ngạc. Hiển nhiên ai cũng không tin Lục Nguyên có thể giết được Hiên Viên Vọng. Đúng là Hiên Viên Vọng. Lục Nguyên ném một thanh kiếm lên. Thanh kiếm này chính là Chí Tôn kiếm tiên, thứ không rời khỏi tay của Hiên Viên Vọng. Thanh kiếm này vừa xuất hiện không ai nghi ngờ nữa. Thái Sử không hỏi, ngươi tại sao lại giết được Hiên Viên Vọng? Chẳng lẽ ngươi đã đạt tới thế giới cảnh? Đúng thế, Lục Nguyên hời hợt gật nhẹ đầu. Cái gì tất cả đều kinh ngạc. Thế giới cảnh không phải là một cảnh giới dễ bị đột phá, đây là một cảnh giới khó vô cùng. Đông Giá Chí Tôn nhiều năm cố gắng trùng kích vẫn không đạt tới được. Hơn nữa không chỉ y mà những người khác cũng vậy. Hiện tại Lục Nguyên đã đạt tới thế giới cảnh. Tuy nhiên Lục Nguyên cũng không phải nói dối, hắn chưa bao giờ nói dối. Hơn nữa hắn giết Hiên Viên Chí Tôn được thì cũng chỉ có một khả năng, hắn đã trùng kích tới thế giới cảnh. Thiên tài, trong thời gian ngắn ngủi trùng kích tới thế giới cảnh. Thái Sử không vui vẻ thầm nói, mình đúng là đã tu được một đệ tử giỏi, mà Gia Cát Chí Thương năm đó dựa vào giao tình với kiếm chi tử cũng chỉ có thể để hắn lùi thời gian, ước hẹn xuống còn 8 năm. Tuy nhiên ngay cả lúc đó Gia Cát Chí Thương cũng không ngờ Lục Nguyên lại tiến bộ kinh hồn như vậy. Sự khó khăn khi trùng kích thế giới cảnh, mọi người đều biết, thiên phú tiềm lực của Lục Nguyên thật vượt xa sự tính toán bình thường. Cuộc chiến của hắn và kiếm chi tử sẽ trở nên tương đương. Đông Giá Chí Tôn như muốn thổ huyết, hắn vì trùng kích thế giới cảnh tìm mọi cách vẫn không lên được mà Lục Nguyên thoáng cái đã trùng kích thành công, tựa hồ cửa ải khó khăn này với Lục Nguyên chẳng tồn tại vậy. Mà Kiếm Hùng thì không nói gì, hắn lần đầu tiên nghe nói tới Lục Nguyên là khi đó Lục Nguyên mới chỉ đạt tới đại đạo cảnh, nghe sư phụ nói là một nhân vật mới lợi hại mà thôi. Lần thứ nhất gặp Lục Nguyên thì Lục Nguyên đã đạt tới hỗn động cảnh, một đường tiến bộ thực lực, không ngờ rằng hiện tại đã đạt tới thế giới cảnh. Thế giới cảnh, đây chính là cảnh giới mà một khi đạt tới có thể hùng bá một phương ở Trung ương Thiên Triều. Lục Nguyên cứ như vậy mà đạt tới, Hiên Viên Vọng cứ như vậy mà chết, thật sự đơn giản như thế sao? Thật lâu sau mọi người mới tiếp nhận chuyện này được. Thái sử không nói, xem ra ngươi làm chí tôn cũng không dài. Lục Nguyên nghi hoặc, Thái sử không giải thích, bởi vì ở kiếm môn một khi đạt tới thế giới cảnh là có thể trở thành thái thượng trưởng lão của kiếm môn, có thể tiến vào kiếm tổ tinh thần. Chúc mừng ngươi, bây giờ ngươi đạt tới thế giới cảnh có thể trở thành thái thượng trưởng lão rồi. Lục Nguyên thầm nghĩ hóa ra còn có chuyện như vậy. Mấy ngày nay đệ tử của Hiên Viên Vọng hung hăng càn quấy Lục Nguyên lại hiếu kỳ hỏi. Rất đơn giản là bởi vì kiếm chi tử. Gia Cát Chí Thương nói, đáp lại bộ dạng khó hiểu của Lục Nguyên. Kiếm chủ Gia Cát Chí Thương giải thích, ngươi nên hiểu bên ngoài kiếm tổ tinh thần cơ bản nằm trong tay chúng ta, nhưng bên trong kiếm tổ tinh thần thì khác. Ở trong kiếm tổ tinh thần có 3 thế lực, Hiên Viên Vọng đại biểu cho một thế lực. Thế lực này do đám đầu hàng Đồng Chi Văn Minh làm chủ. Còn một thế lực nữa do kiếm chi tử cầm đầu. Thế lực này tuy ủng hộ kiếm chi tử nhưng kiếm chi tử chuyên tâm tu hành, cũng không nhàn hạ để ý, cho nên nó được sư phụ của hắn là Trương Đạo Sinh quản. Gia Cát Chí Thương lại nói, sư phụ của hắn là một thái thượng trưởng lão thực lực đạt tới thế giới cảnh tầng thứ 2. Người này vận khí tốt, thu được kiếm chi tử làm đồ đệ. Thực lực bản thân thì không tốt lắm nhưng năng lực điều hành thì khá giỏi. Thế lực của kiếm chi tử đã được hắn phát triển tới mức phong thủy sinh khởi. Thế lực thứ 3 không cần nhiều lời chính là của chúng ta. Quên mất một chuyện, ngươi còn chưa hiểu được hình thức kiếm môn chúng ta. Thái sử không nói, vô thượng đại giáo của kiếm môn là một môn phái trung đẳng nắm được phúc khí từ kỷ nguyên trước. Nhưng thực lực chân chính của kiếm môn chúng ta cũng không quá mạnh. Trên kiếm tổ tinh thần có một lão tổ kiếm môn, vị lão tổ này có tu vi thế giới cảnh tầng thứ 5. Có tên là Kiếm Anh lão tổ, ngoài ra còn có một số ít thế giới cảnh tầng thứ 4. Ví dụ như ta trước khi bị thương cũng là thế giới cảnh tầng thứ 4. Ngoài ra còn có 3 người khác chính là Kiếm Phong trung tổ, Kiếm Hư trung tổ, Kiếm Vân trung tổ. Chiến lược của bọn họ hiện tại ta đã không theo kịp, mà xuống nữa phần lớn đều là thế giới cảnh tầng thứ nhất, thứ hai, thứ ba. Loại người này tương đối nhiều, nói là tương đối nhiều nhưng không phải quá nhiều, cũng chỉ có hơn 10 người mà thôi. Đây là toàn bộ chiến lược của kiếm môn chúng ta. Trong 3 người này, Kiếm Phong trung tổ thì là người đồng ý theo Giản Chi Văn Minh, mà Kiếm Hư trung tổ thì ủng hộ kiếm chi tử. Cuối cùng Kiếm Vân trung tổ thì chính là người của phái chúng ta. Chương 1038, trở lại kiếm môn. Về phần Kiếm Diệt lão tổ quanh năm bế quan bình thường không xuất hiện, cũng căn bản không để ý tới chính sự. Đương nhiên 3 vị phong tổ kỳ thật cũng rất ít để ý tới chính sự, cơ bản đều giao cho đám người tầng thứ nhất, thứ hai, thứ ba xử lý. Bọn họ chỉ cần tu luyện cho thực lực càng mạnh là được. Đây là tình huống của kiếm tổ tinh thần của kiếm môn chúng ta. Nghe Gia Cát Chí Thương giới thiệu xong, Lục Nguyên cũng đã hiểu, hóa ra nội bộ của kiếm môn còn có chuyện như vậy. Kiếm chủ Gia Cát Chí Thương lại nói, mà những đệ tử của Hiên Viên Vọng càn quấy kỳ thật rất đơn giản, bởi vì phái của kiếm chi tử hiện tại đã liên minh với Giản phái rồi, cũng tức là nói hai phái của bọn họ đã liên minh đối phó với phái của chúng ta. Bọn họ đang chiếm thượng phong, dưới tình hình đó đệ tử của Hiên Viên phái sẽ khoa trương rất nhiều. Lục Nguyên nghe xong thì gật đầu, hóa ra là thế. Vốn hắn cho rằng Hiên Viên phái có thể một lần chính biến kia mà giải quyết, có thể khiến cho kiếm môn an định lại, kết quả vẫn còn có chuyện khiến người ta buồn bực. Nhưng không có cách nào, Lục Nguyên cũng không trốn thoát. Bây giờ tạm thời ở kiếm môn kiếm chi tử chính là cừu địch của mình. Đương nhiên ta giới thiệu những nhân vật này không kể cả kiếm chi tử. Thực lực của kiếm chi tử thế nào ta cũng không biết. Gia Cát Chí Thương nói, kiếm chi tử cùng với những người này đều giống nhau, đều không bao giờ trực tiếp ra mặt. Lục Nguyên gật đầu, con biết rõ rồi. Lại nói tiếp một chuyện. Gia Cát Chí Thương nói, sắp tới là thập niên tế, phái của Gia Cát Chí Thương muốn trong thập niên tế làm cho chúng ta đẹp mắt. Lúc này phái của kiếm chi tử bắn tiếng muốn ở trong thập niên tế làm cho chúng ta đẹp mắt. Nghe lời nói của Gia Cát Chí Thương, Lục Nguyên khẽ giật mình. Thập niên tế này hắn biết, không ngờ rằng kiếm chi tử muốn dùng thập niên tệ này làm cho phe mình đẹp mắt, mà Thái sử không cùng với Gia Cát Chí Thương bọn họ thì đang thương lượng xem phải làm sao đối phó với chuyện thập niên tế. Đương nhiên lúc tu hành Lục Nguyên cũng suy nghĩ một chút trật tự. Theo lời của Yến Thương Thiên, muốn hiểu được trật tự cần phải biết kỷ nguyên thế giới này được tạo thành thế nào. Một khi đã hiểu thì có thể luyện thành trật tự tiết tắc, mà không hiểu thì không thể luyện thành, bởi vì nhân quả tiết tắc hiện tại không tu luyện, thời gian không gian luân hồi âm dương 4 tiết tắc đã luyện thành, cho nên Lục Nguyên cũng suy nghĩ tới trật tự tiết tắc. Đến cùng trật tự là cái gì? Lục Nguyên tự nhủ, trật tự nên chia làm hai loại, một loại là thiên địa vạn vật trật tự, một loại là chí hỷ sinh linh trật tự. Hai loại trật tự này có bất đồng tương đối lớn. Trước tiên nói về thiên địa vạn vật trật tự. Thiên địa vạn vật, nước chảy về phía đông đây là thủy trật tự, lửa thiêu đốt tất cả đây là hỏa trật tự. Mặt trời ở trên bầu trời, sao ở trên bầu trời, đây là nhật nguyệt trật tự. Đá ở trên mặt đất ném lên không cách nào bay trên bầu trời, đây là thạch đầu trật tự. Núi che chắn gió, đây là sơn trật tự. Vạn vật đều có trật tự, mà trật tự rốt cuộc là gì đây? Lục Nguyên lâm vào trầm tư. Đột nhiên Lục Nguyên nghĩ tới kỳ thật vạn vật trật tự chỉ gói gọn trong 4 chữ vạn vật quy bản. Vạn vật vốn ở nơi nào là ở nơi nào. Đương nhiên ngoài thiên địa vạn vật trật tự còn có trí tuệ sinh linh trật tự. Lục Nguyên giờ khắc này như là phúc chi tâm linh. Kỳ thực Yến Thương Thiên đã đánh một số ý thức về trật tự vào trong đầu của Lục Nguyên nhưng chưa nói rõ ra. Hơn nữa đúng là thiên phú của Lục Nguyên không hề tệ, cho nên dưới ấn ký của Yến Thương Thiên hắn nhanh chóng lĩnh ngộ được. Trí tuệ sinh linh trật tự là gì? Trí tuệ sinh linh từng người tồn tại tựa hồ không có trật tự gì đáng nói, không rời khỏi thân thể, chiến tranh hòa bình phồn vinh suy sụp không thoát khỏi 8 chữ này. Trí tuệ sinh linh trật tự nằm trong 8 chữ này. Cuối cùng Lục Nguyên cơ bản cũng tổng kết được, trật tự thiết tắc tổng cộng chia làm 2 loại, một loại là vạn vật trật tự, điều này cần 4 loại. Thiên địa pháp tắc, tức là vạn vật quy bản 4 loại, mà loại thứ hai là trí tuệ sinh linh trật tự, điều này cần 8 loại thiên đạo pháp tắc. Chiến, tranh, hòa, bình, phồn, vinh, suy, lạc, cũng tức là nói, muốn nắm giữ trật tự thiết tắc cần phải nắm giữ 12 loại thiên địa pháp tắc. Vạn vật, quy, bản, chiến, tranh, hòa, bình, phồn, vinh, suy, lạc, 12 loại này Lục Nguyên vẫn chưa hiểu được một loại. Từ từ tu hành cũng không cần phải gấp. Lục Nguyên uống một ngụm rượu, hắn tu hành một thời gian tới thập niên tế cũng càng ngày càng tới gần. Kiếm môn có đại sự, thập niên tế được trịnh trọng tổ chức, địa điểm tổ chức là tinh thần kiếm tinh cung. Kiếm tinh cung này là một tòa cung điện tương đối lớn. Trong cung có tới mấy ấy vạn căn nhà, mỗi căn đều cao hơn 10 trượng. Toàn bộ cung điện vô cùng rộng lớn, mà ở bên trong kiếm tinh cung bố trí rất xa hoa. Sáng sớm có rất nhiều đệ tử tiến vào bên trong kiếm tinh cung. Từ xưa tới nay đệ tử kiếm môn không có nhiều hoạt động, cho nên loại thập niên tế này bọn họ không thể bỏ qua. Lục Nguyên lúc mới vào kiếm môn cũng giống như các đệ tử này, sau đó trở thành đệ tử chân truyền rồi. Hiện tại địa vị cao hơn một chút. Kia chính là Tử Chí Tôn Lục Nguyên. Đúng thế, thật là lợi hại.